know what's agonizing is, in addition to Donald Trump being accused and charged with all of the previous allegations that they lumped on him, now they've got the January 6th stuff again that they're going through. Oh. And is there a specific thing that you can point to that says, yep, that's where he did it. That's where he yelled, go get him. Bring that whole thing down. Go kill somebody. Hey, you know what we should do is hang Mike Pence. He didn't do any of that. So I don't know how this is going to, how this would result in, a conviction. Of Donald Trump.
And it's fortunate for the government, and the luck of the draw, that the judge that's going to be presiding over the case is an Obama appointee, worked at the same law firm that Hunter worked at. It's thrown, put a January 6th defendants in prison, even when the prosecution has said, no, they don't deserve prison time. She said, go ahead, throw them in jail. So it's just the luck of the draw for the government that they got
that's
her.
all it was. That's all it is.
Woof.
We got to play this for you because, it's obviously against the law to say anything about a U.S. election outcome. You can't talk about it. You can't say anything. Well, you can say how free and fair it was. You can say that. You can say it was the freest and fairest of all time.
You can.
You can claim that you got together the biggest fraud organization in history to oversee it. But you can't say it's illegitimate. Well, if you have an R after your name, you can't say that. But here's some people with D's after their names who said quite a few things about fraudulent or illegitimate elections. Watch this.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
Wait, what? Look at this, 12 minutes. We won't have time for the whole thing, but 12 minutes of it.
That's a real
what I'm
thing.
scared about.
That's a real thing.
Rightly.
Because I think he's an illegitimate president that didn't really win. So how do you, fight against that in 2020?
You are absolutely right.
He's an illegitimate president in my mind.
Would you be my vice presidential candidate?
And there's Biden encouraging it.
Agree. Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election, and he was put into office because the Russians interfered.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president.
The president-elect, although legally elected, is not legitimate.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You said you believe that Russia's interference altered the outcome of the election.
I do. We have a president who, if in fact it is proven, has been assisted by the Russians and may in fact not be a legitimate president.
The one thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
I have an objection.
I object to the 15 votes from the state of North Carolina.
I object because people are horrified.
He's an illegitimate president.
Do you
How many
believe
times did
Trump
she
is
say that?
illegitimate president?
What I believe is that there's no question that the outcome of this election was affected by the Russian interference.
There absolutely is a cloud of illegitimacy.
So that legitimacy is in question, yes.
So that was a very tainted election. And in that sense, it's illegitimate.
Why do you think the president is going to such great lengths to essentially prove that he beat you?
Because he knows he didn't. He knows he's an illegitimate president.
Stolen emails, stolen drone, stolen election. Welcome to the world of unprecedented Trump.
So do you believe President Trump is an illegitimate president?
Based on what I just said, which I can't retract.
Frankly, the FBI is weighing in on the election. I think makes his election illegitimate.
There was a widespread understanding that this election was not on the level. We still don't know what really happened, Isaac. I mean,
wait, what?
There's just a lot that I think will be revealed, history will discover. But you don't win by 3 million votes and have all this other shenanigan stuff going on and not come away with an idea like, whoa, something's not right here.
The outcome of the election was affected by their interference, and now we need to know, to what degree, if any, the Trump campaign was actually in collusion with with Russia.
He knows he's an illegitimate president. So of course he's obsessed with me. And I believe that it's a guilty conscience.
We actually won the last presidential election, folks. They stole the last presidential election.
And Al Gore won that election. I think he won anyway.
Actually, I think I carried Florida.
Bush versus Gore. A court took away a presidency.
If all the votes were counted in Florida, that Al Gore would be president today and George Bush would be back in office.
I come from Florida, where you and others participated in what I call the United States coup d'etat.
There's no doubt in my mind that Al Gore was elected president.
I rise to object to the fraudulent 25 Florida electoral votes.
I must object because of the overwhelming evidence of official misconduct, deliberate fraud, and an attempt to
chair must remind.
It is signed by myself on behalf of my diverse constituents and the millions of Americans who have been disenfranchised by Florida's inaccurate vote count.
The Supreme Court, not the people of the United States, decided this election.
Speaking to a Democratic group in Chicago Tuesday, he made it clear he thinks Al Gore was the winner.
By the time it was over, our candidate had won the popular vote, and the only way they could win the election was to stop the voting in Florida.
Catherine Harris, Jeb Bush, Jim Baker, and the Supreme Court hadn't tampered with the results, Al Gore would be president.
The Supreme Court elected the president.
2004, yes.
Al Gore won the state of Florida in 2000, although not the presidency.
But the Supreme Court tampered? That's a large charge. The Supreme Court stopped the counting of the votes, and if they let the count go on, Al Gore would have got the necessary votes.
The Supreme Court selected
not elected.
George W. Bush
right.
as the president.
Selected,
he was not
elected.
elected.
There is overwhelming evidence that George W. Bush did not win this election.
What I observed as a voter, as a citizen of Illinois, 4 years ago, were troubling evidence of the fact that not every vote was being counted.
Look at his hair color back then.
I know.
George W. Bush won the election in 2000.
Look at his hair color back then.
Because
Anyway.
I think he probably lost Florida and also that nationwide.
If you invite me back on this show in about 8 weeks, I think you're going to learn that Al Gore actually did get all the votes there.
The court has been thwarting the formation of the popular will. The most spectacular example being Bush versus Gore, where the majority by a 5-4 vote joined the counting of more than 100,000 ballots in Florida and essentially gave America its first court-appointed president.
There's a 24-minute version, by the way.
I think
24 minutes of this.
Well, he did win the election, Al Gore.
After the election, when you stole the election, you came back here and said, get over it. No, we're not going to get over it.
You know it, I know it, they know it. We won that election.
Constantly shifting vote tallies in Ohio and malfunctioning electronic machines which may not have paper receipts, have led to additional loss of confidence by the public.
The right to vote has been stolen from qualified voters.
In 2004, the democratic process was thwarted.
The 2004 presidential election in Ohio was riddled with unnecessary problems.
Every time they lose, this is what they do.
Wow. To be counted more than once, or not at all.
How many of these people are going to be charged? How many? Face 561 years in prison.
And misconduct. I join with my colleagues in objecting to counting the state of Ohio's electoral votes.
As in 2000, the votes of many who wanted to vote were not, in fact, counted.
Last Friday night, I arranged to meet Senator Kerry at a fundraiser to give him a copy of my book. He told me he now thinks the election was stolen.
The wife of John Kerry said she has lingering doubts about the legitimacy of the election. Her theory goes like this. Two brothers, she calls hard right Republicans, own 80% of the voting machines in the U.S. Therefore, it would be easy to hack into the mother machines that control the electronic
all the things
voting.
There were
Trump was
numerous irregularities in
about
Ohio, including large percentages of rejections of provisional balloting, problems with voting machines.
As we look at our election system, I think it's fair to say that there are many legitimate questions about its accuracy,
Not today, there isn't.
about its integrity.
There are still legitimate concerns over the integrity of our elections.
Are there? Obviously is how many instances were not caught that we don't know about. Number one, we've seen a lot of honest glitches.
They can say whatever they want. Whatever they want.
A dishonest
and it's never a problem.
Or a dishonest employee of a local board of elections, or simply someone who knows electronics and has a computer at home.
Wow.
Could hack into these machines and
this is what happens when you have the media on your side.
Democratic vote or add 10% to the Kerry or to the Bush vote or whatever. And you might not ever know it.
I agree with tens of millions of Americans who are very worried
that when they cast the ballot on an electronic voting machine, that there is no paper trail to record that vote.
The numerous irregularities that occurred with the electronic voting machines in Ohio on November the 2nd of last year point to an unresolved national crisis.
We cannot declare that the election of November 2nd, 2004 was free and clear and transparent and real. There must be independent testing of the voting machines used in Ohio.
I'm not confident that the election
Did those
in
voting
Ohio
machines
was fairly
sue
decided.
any of these
we know
Democrats?
That there was
I don't think so.
substantial voter suppression, and the machines
Or
were
did
not
they sue
reliable.
The members of Congress
MSNBC
who have
or
brought this
CNN?
challenge
No.
are speaking up for their aggrieved constituents, many of whom may have been disenfranchised in this process.
Treating today's electoral vote count in Congress as a meaningless ritual would be an insult to our democracy unless we registered our own protest against the obviously flawed voting process that took place in so many of our states.
Voters who wish to cast a vote for president or vice president can't approach the polls with certainty that their vote will be counted.
One of the most significant problems in Ohio and in many other states was the lack of measures to ensure the integrity of electronic voting machines.
In 2004, caused Democratic voters in Ohio to wait for 8 hours before they could cast their ballot. They turned the Department of Civil Rights and the Justice Department into the voter suppression division with voter ID laws, voter purging, voter intimidation, election stealings.
And despite the final tally and the inauguration and the situation we find ourselves in, I do have one.
All right, I think we get the idea.
Man, no kidding.
I mean, I let it go for a while because I just developed hiccups while I'm on the air.
Really? Did you hold your breath during something?
I've held my breath. I've done all my little
Did you close your
tricks
eyes?
that normally
Did you
work.
close your eyes and think of an elephant?
No.
Hold your breath. Close your eyes. Think of an elephant dancing across the way in front of you. They're gone now, aren't they? Perfect.
No, he's right there.
Perfect.
I see him right there.
No, I'm talking about the hiccups.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the elephant. No, okay. No, still there, obviously.